Okay, today we're going to be talking about unfair principles in the overemployed world. But before that, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe now. We talk about how to become and stay overemployed on this channel, which is basically getting more than one remote job and keeping it. So you're basically doubling or even tripling your income. And if you haven't yet checked out the masterclass, check it out in the description below or the pinned comment below. In the masterclass, we teach you everything on how to become and stay overemployed, the small details, the common mistakes people make, the common mistakes we've made. So we make this so that your journey is much smoother and you don't have to do those same mistakes. So check out the masterclass today. Okay, so I will include a link to the article that I'm going to base this video on in the description, and you can follow along if you'd like there too as well. So principle 1, no apex person has ever existed without unapologetically wielding an unfair advantage from an unfair situation or position, sorry. So imagine any person you know that has great power or skills or anything that's they've accomplished in greatness. It could even be a person in history or someone in your social circle. All of these people have had unfair skills and they've never been afraid to use them. They don't shy away from using them, and they always have had to use them to excel to being who they are. So remember that you can't shy away from your unfair advantages. Okay, so principle 3. And this is one important for people that are kind of hesitant to become overemployed because they feel like maybe it's immoral or they think that it's unfair to other people. So you have to realize that everybody on the planet has an unfair advantage and an unfair position. Some people are born into money. Some people are born with genetic skills, right? So you have to realize at the end of the day, everybody has these unfair positions and advantages, and there's no point of hesitating and shying away from using them. You have to use them because everyone eventually will use them. Principle 4. So this one is very important. So this one relates to being overemployed the most, I believe. So you have to realize that apex people only take high return on investment action. So apex people only take high ROI action. So you have to realize that most of what you do is kind of a waste of time. If you have one remote job, or even if you have 0 remote jobs, but let's say if you have one remote job right now, you have a lot of downtime. It's not like you're working typically an actual full 40 hours a week, right? It's theoretically impossible, kind of. So a lot of inefficiencies that rise up in companies are pushed out to you, and that frees up a lot of your time. Or even if it doesn't free it up, you just have a lot of time where you're just kind of doing repetitive, tedious work, which isn't really returning you that much leverage. So you have to realize if you have one remote job and you have a downtime of 2-3 hours a day, you can exactly relate this to being overemployed because you can use that time to get a second remote job. And once you have that second remote job, you fill up that gap. You replace that inefficiency with something that gives you a high return, right? So basically less is more, and you do more with less or even the same. So let's say you normally work 8 hours with one job and you get one salary. Well, now you work 8 hours with 2 jobs. So you do the same amount, but you double your income essentially. So before, if you put out 100 units of effort, you only get 100 units of output back. But now with 2 remote jobs, you get 200 units back, right? You double. So you have to make use of this. And this is why I like this article, because it kind of relates directly to being overemployed. You take advantage of your unfair advantage to increase your return on investment. So the same effort, but more output. And you have to realize that if you are currently not in the situation to get a remote job, so this is principle 7, you might need to abandon your current unfair advantage, right? So let's say you're in a position where maybe you're working in a factory. You don't have your skills yet. Maybe build those skills, and then once you get those skills to be able to actually achieve a remote job, you can abandon your current position, your current unfair advantage, to get the better one, aka being overemployed. So once you get those skills, you can get a remote job. And once you get that remote job, you quit your previous job or whatever you had, and then you start getting multiple remote jobs. And then you have that new unfair advantage, right? So anyone can do this. So even if you don't have the skills or the skill set needed right now, you can get to that point. And when you do, that's when you can start becoming overemployed. So principle 8, I think this is the most important principle of this article, and again relates directly to being overemployed. So you have to realize that the apex person plays by their own game, their own rules in an arena of their choosing. So you're selective and you choose your battles wisely. So you kind of set your own rules. And this is exactly why being overemployed relates to this because being overemployed, technically it's a little against the rules, right? You're not supposed to have multiple remote jobs. You're only supposed to have one. But by setting your own rules, you get yourself that unfair position and advantage, and you increase your leverage. You increase your return on investment, which I talked about before, right? So choose your own rules. Don't be scared to do that. Set your own arena. You're working remotely. That's your arena. You have those skills. Basically break it down into you have skills that are valuable. People want your skills, aka companies hire you. And then your third unfair advantage is that people hire you remotely, right? They don't need you to come into the office. So use those three things. People want your skills, you have skills, and people are willing to hire you remotely. So see what you can get from that, aka being overemployed, right? So use those skills, set your own rules, set your own arena, and then that's how you'll become overemployed. So if you like this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't checked out the masterclass, check it in the description below. We go into depth about how to become and stay overemployed, all the small details that you might miss out on, how to know which jobs to accept even, what are the good jobs for overemployed, because a lot of jobs might not suit you, right? So check out the masterclass. And again, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.